Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sonia Jean Killebrew. I'm an author and a professor of writing. And today I will talk about how I finished writing my first novel in under 2 weeks. Okay, so my first video said that my goal is to write 12 books in 12 months in the year 2021. Sorry, I'm still adjusting to looking at the camera. I don't know how actors do this. I'm not an actor, but I'm trying to look at the camera while I talk. And my goal, so I met my goal. Here's my calendar. So in those 2 weeks, I wrote my novel. It's a total of 40,500 words, which is 77 pages, I believe, single spaced. And I spoke to an author who said that when I publish it, I will publish it probably 1.5 spacing, which will double the page length to be about 170 pages. So I did it. I made my goal of writing a novel, and now I will share with you how did I do it. So I made a PowerPoint presentation, and I will share my screen. Okay, one moment. Now I see why people hire video editors, because it is difficult recording and filming. Okay, share screen. Oh, where'd it go? All right, I'll just share my whole desktop. Now you're gonna see everything on my desktop. Okay. And now I tried to load it so that it would start immediately as the presentation, but it didn't work. Okay, so let me minimize myself. Okay, so how I wrote a novel in 8 days. Hi, my name is Sonia Killebrew. I'm a writer and a professor. I teach writing at a university in New York City. I have 2 master's degrees, an MSED, which is a master's degree in education, and an MFA, a Master's of Fine Arts in creative writing. I want to combine my love of teaching and my love of writing to help you write a novel. I put together this PowerPoint presentation to show you how I wrote a novel in 8 days. This is just what worked for me. You can take what works for you and leave the rest behind. Okay, so who is my audience? You should continue watching this video if you are an aspiring writer, a published author who wants to learn how to write more quickly, or a student who wants to learn how to write using tried and true novel structures. If you don't like outlines or structures, then stop watching this video. Do not go forward. Okay. So this is for aspiring writers, published authors, students, and people open to using outlines. So what are my objectives? I have a short-term, long-term, and immediate goals. So number 1, my immediate goal is to show you how I wrote a novel in 8 days. 2, my short-term goal within the next few weeks are to teach writers how to write a novel using a tried and true structure that worked for me. 3, my long-term goals are A, to write 1 novel each month this year, B, to publish my novels online, and C, to teach you how to write to market and how to publish your novel online. So 4. Now I'll share my book schedule in Excel. Ah! Oh, I'm gonna have to press escape. I'm sorry, I hope this, okay, so here's my book schedule. My goal is to write 12 books in 12 months. And so book number 1, I wrote it in 8 days. I edited it in 2 days, and I completed the draft on January 11, 2021. And I completed editing on January 14, 2021. And then I took 1 day off before editing. And then for the rest of the year, I plan to complete each of the other books at the end of each month. More than likely, they will all also only take me about 8 days, and then I'll use a couple days to edit. So that's my book schedule for the year, and I will update that as I proceed. Okay. Hopefully this will all come out in the video when I upload it. Next, what materials did I use to write a novel in 8 days? So I have my laptop, the internet, Joseph Campbell's mythological structure for the hero's journey, Scrivener, and my imagination. Okay, so this is my process. First, I typed up my novel on my laptop. While you may not have a laptop, you can use a tablet or smartphone to type your novel on. I say this because when my university transitioned to online learning at the start of the pandemic in March of 2020, some of my students did not have laptops. Thankfully, the university provided laptops. So before then, some students are using their smartphones to attend class through Zoom. Second, I use the internet to research all sorts of topics for a novel. I look at everything from the history of civilization to medieval torture practices. Even though I have a very cheerful personality, I like to write dark comedies, and sometimes they involve medieval torture. It's not funny. Okay. Third, I use Joseph Campbell's story structure, The Hero's Journey. We'll look at a website that shows you how the popular movies, Star Wars, and The Matrix use the hero's journey to create engaging and memorable stories. Fourth, I use Scrivener to type my novels. Scrivener is a software that has built-in columns to help me organize my chapters. I'll show you an outline in Scrivener using the hero's journey. And fifth, I have a very active imagination. I'm constantly creating novels, stories about people I see. So I'm able to share these stories with my readers in my novels. Okay, Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey. So here's a website that shows you how the popular movies Star Wars and The Matrix use the hero's journey to create engaging and memorable stories. You know what? And I just realized that I haven't shown you the classic graphic of the hero's journey. So as you can see, I have a whole lot of tabs open. And this is Wikipedia. Where's the graphic? There's the graphic. So if you Google the hero's journey, there are many different graphics, but it's circular. And this is what I love about it, because you start with the hero, but they're not a hero yet. So they have a call to adventure. Then they get some sort of supernatural aid, and then a threshold where the guardian, who's the supernatural aid, they give them advice, they cross the threshold, which means they answer the call to adventure, and thus begins the journey. So they have a helper, a mentor, many challenges and temptations, and then there's the abyss, where who they were before at the beginning of the story dies, and they become reborn as this growing hero. They transform, there's atonement, a gift from a goddess, and then they return to their home transformed as a hero. And I live by this story structure. So that's a graphic of the story structure. And now here's this website that I found, and I thank you, the people who created this website. I'm a fan of Star Wars. I will just say right now, I've only seen the original trilogy because I absolutely loved it, and I did not want to engage in other characters and the others. If you are also a Star Wars fan and you're like, oh my God, that's sacrilegious, look, I love the original trilogy, and so I stand by not watching the other ones. I'll watch them one day. So if you go on online and look at George Lucas and look at The Hero's Journey, you'll see that Joseph Campbell by George Lucas talks about using the hero's journey to outline. So basically it says the blueprint for the hero's journey gave Lucas the focus he needed to draw his sprawling imaginary universe into a single story. And also The Matrix. And The Matrix was one of my all-time favorite movies also, and then I'm starting to see that many of my favorite movies center on the hero's journey. Same for the Hunger Games, that classic scene, that call to adventure, where Katniss is like, "I volunteer," oh, such a great story. All right, so let me focus. So, the hero's journey. Part one is departure. Act one, the call to adventure. As you can see in Star Wars, Princess Leia's message. In the Matrix, follow the White Rabbit. And then the refusal of the call in Star Wars, which is must help the harvest, Luke Skywalker, and in the Matrix, Neo won't climb out the window. And then next, there's supernatural aid. In Star Wars, Obi-Wan rescues Luke from the Sand People. In the Matrix, Trinity extracts a bug from Neo. And then there's crossing the threshold. So in Star Wars, Luke Skywalker escapes Tatooine, and in the Matrix, Neo's taken out of the Matrix for the first time. And then they're in the belly of the whale. In Star Wars, it's a trash compactor, and in the Matrix, it's a torture room. So I won't read all the rest because it's all very detailed, and you can read for yourself. There's Act 2's the initiation, the road of trials, the meeting with the goddess. I really love the meeting with the Oracle in the Matrix. It was just so well done. Same for Star Wars. Then there's temptation away from the true path, atonement with the Father, apotheosis, becoming godlike, and then the ultimate boon. And then Act 3, the return, right? There's the refusal of the return, the magic flight, rescue from without, crossing the return threshold, master the two worlds, freedom to live. Okay. And then there are also several mythical elements in the stories. So I did put a link to this in my presentation. So if you want to read it again in more detail, you can go to this website, http://www.moongadget.com/origins/myth.html. Okay. And Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey. So fourth, I use Scrivener to type my novels, and I will share my screen with the software and this is an outline that I created just for this presentation. My outline, I changed the titles of the chapters, but this is just so you can see, if you were to use Scrivener, there's this column where you can create each chapter, and then within each chapter, there's, they have like chapters. I would just have, like, for example, I'll delete this. So I would just have a scene. I wouldn't have another folder within the folder. And so this is an example of how you could create your own outline in Scrivener. And if you are not a fan of outlines, I bought a subscription to Masterclass, and James Patterson says he uses outlines, and he says that it's a mistake that new writers make when they don't use outlines. And if you think that you are confined and you're not able to use your imagination, you're wrong, because once you have this chapter called The Call to Adventure, you still have to write it. It's a blank page. You still get to decide who your character is, what the call is, what the adventure will be. So there's a lot of freedom in this structure, but you have direction when you use a detailed outline. Okay, so that's Scrivener. And next, so here's your mission. If you choose to accept it, first, write down a list of stories that you would like to see written. A famous quote that I love from Toni Morrison, she says, "If you don't see a story that you would like to read, then write it." I'm paraphrasing, but basically, if you can think of a story and you're like, "Oh, I don't know why that's not in the bookstore," then write that story. Try to spend 10 minutes writing down a list of stories that you would like to see written. And then spend another 10 minutes, think of a protagonist who you would love to spend hours and days with writing their journey. Because, you know, as you can see, I spent 8 days and I have a whole cast of characters. Much like in Star Wars, there's the A story, the B story, the C story. You know, there's all the characters have their own internal conflict and then there's the external conflict. And I love my characters, even the ones who are the villains. Like, I love their complexity. Much like Darth Vader, fascinating character. Okay, next one, 30 minutes. Use Joseph Campbell's hero's journey to write down a list of possible scenes in your novel. You're welcome to take a screenshot of my skeleton outline and then fill in your character and think of the journey that your character will go on. Then spend another 30 minutes, dedicate a certain amount of time, 5 days a week to writing your novel. I was writing I wrote Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I paused Friday. So you can decide if you want to write Monday through Friday, Sunday through Thursday. For me, it's really important that I take a day off. I love to read. I have a whole stacks of books in my room that I'm reading and have yet to read. And I also watch a lot of TV and movies. So that's my weekends are for TV and movies. And finally, I recommend that you take 30 minutes to keep writing until you finish your first draft. Do not go back and edit. Give yourself the gift to write. So when you're writing that chapter 1, just write it. You know that your hero has a call to adventure. You know, don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about what will happen later. Just be in the moment and write that chapter. Okay, homework. So now it's your turn. Set aside 10 minutes to write down story ideas that you'd like to see written. 2, think of a protagonist who you'd love to spend hours and days with writing their journey. 3, set aside a designated amount of time to write 5 days each week. Maybe 30 minutes a day, maybe 1 hour. And remember, A, be kind to yourself. There might be days that you just don't have time to write if you have a day job or if you have 2 day jobs. I've had 3 jobs. So, you know, I know what it's like to go from job to job and then a job on the weekend. So just be kind to yourself. B, remember, writing a book is a marathon, not a sprint. So while it might seem like I was sprinting, I ghosted it in 11 novels. So for me, it's like I've had practice writing. So 8 days might seem like a short time to some. It may seem like a long time to others. But just, you know, just take it one chapter at a time. C, forgive yourself. If you find there's a day that you don't write, it's okay. You know, we're human. Life, you know, we have a big life. So just forgive yourself and the next day, try to write. And finally, D, start each day anew. Forget about yesterday. The past is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. I don't know who said that, but I really like that quote. All right, so that was my lesson. And okay, so now I will stop sharing. Here I am. Hi. So if you are still if you're still here, if you're still listening, then thank you for listening to my presentation about how I wrote a novel in 8 days. And yes, it really is 170 pages. I'm currently researching different ways to launch it as an independent author. Whatever opinion you may have about self-publishing, which is really independent publishing, because there's a whole business side to advertising, marketing, finding your audience, targeting them. There's a whole launch time sequence. So this is what I'll be doing with my series. I'm super excited to try it out. And I'm also writing a novel that I plan to send to a publisher and see if they would like to publish it. So it'll be interesting to see the process between my independent publishing and working with a publisher. Thank you for listening. I will play some music in the outro if I can find that screen. Oh, here it is. And And I just want to thank you. Oh, and today is Martin Luther King Day, so I'm wearing my shirt that my sister gave me. It's got Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman, Langston Hughes, woo, the poet, and Maya Angelou, the writer, and Frederick Douglass. And today in my background, that's a picture of my dad and me and my sister when we were babies. And I just thought it'd be nice to have, my dad passed in 2009 of a heart attack. He had multiple sclerosis. And I just thought it'd be nice to have him here with me on Martin Luther King Day while I teach you about how to write a book and just celebrate that I wrote a book. So, thank you. And I'll see you next week. Happy MLK Day.